All right, guys. So as I was saying before, that in order to solve this problem, we would first write the ratio in a fractional form for both the ratio that is given and the actual length that you are given. So therefore, we would have 8 over 5 would be the same as 120 over x. But what we really want to find is the x, because that is the length of the second part, and we don't know that. But we do this cross multiplication in order to get rid of the denominator. So when you have two fractions equating and you want to get rid of the denominators, you can carry out this cross multiplication method. And so when you do this cross multiplication, you will end up working out this. So the x would now becomes 5 times 120 over 8, which is equal to 75. And so that's how we would arrive at our answer. Now, any question about this? Let me see the hands if you are all clear on how to do this. All right. Now, so one of the things I must say is that even though we took this approach to the question, it's not the only approach that we can use. But for now, I'm going to allow you to somewhat grasp this approach before I show you another approach. All right, so here we have now the length of the second length would be 75. Now, look at this question now. This question is similar to the one that I've just done. So the approach would be similar to what I've just done. So I'm just going to give you about 2 to 3 minutes to see if you could work this one out for yourself. All right, go ahead, guys. All right, so anybody finish this one? Ms. Taylor, how far you read your question? I guess Ms. Taylor's still not hearing us. I mean, her mic is not working. All right, Ms. Waysome, have you done anything?
Still working, sir.
Okay. Shay, have you arrived at any answer? Okay, Miss Taylor. All right. Who else can I call on? All right, Miss Clark.
Sorry, I'm late, sir. I was having some internet issues.
I realize that you're quite late today, but we're on the topic of. All right, now I know some of you would have asked me. All right, give me a second, Ms. Teresa. You would have asked about the videos. So I'm trying to get some of the videos uploaded to the site so that for those who would have missed out on certain class, will be able to go back and watch the videos. All right. So I'm working on it. Hopefully by tomorrow I will start uploading some videos to the site. All right, guys. All right, Mr. Waysome, go ahead and give me your solution. Are you ready for us, Mr. Waysome? Not getting any response from Ms. Waysome. Is Ms. Waysome still there? All right, it appears as if Ms. Waysome fell off. So, all right, is there anybody else who would like to give me a solution? I think Ms. Waysome is back. So let us just give her a chance to give her explanation. Are you back with us now, Ms. Waysome?
Yes, sir.
All right, I realized that you fell off just now. So I was asking you to walk us through the steps of your solution.
Sure. I use the same method you use.
Right.
So first I turn the ratios into fractions. So for the first one, you have 12/7.
All right, so let me write what you have. So you say you have 12/7.
Yes, sir. 2x/21
equal to x/20.
x/21. Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir. Then I went ahead and cross multiply.
Okay. Now, in this case, where the x is already above, all you need to cross multiply is the 21 with the 12. All right, so on the left side, you would just get 12 times 21 over 7. And that will be equal to x.
Yes, sir.
Walk me through the rest of the calculation, Mr.
12 times 21 is 252. Sorry, 252.
All right, now I know sometimes students will take the approach to do your multiplication, then you, but often,
Oh, so you basically canceled out first, sir?
right, if you do your cancellation first, you will see that you will simplify your work and really don't need a calculator when you're canceling. So if you
Yes, sir.
7 into itself goes 1.
And 7 into 21 goes 3.
3. And then now you multiply 3 times 12.
Which is 36.
You will get 36. Now, so this 36 would represent what?
$36, sir.
So based on the question, then what the question would have asked, it says 2 amounts of money are in the ratios of 12 to 7. If the second amount is $21, what is the first amount? So basically, you would write the ratio that was given. So 12 to 7 must be in the same ratio as the actual money. So the second amount is 21. So the first amount is what we're trying to find. So you call the first amount X, and the second amount we know is 21. So that would be both of them in that ratio. Then now you write the fraction as what Ms. Wilson would have done here. And then now you carry the work in. So you will get X equal to $36. And it is important that in your answer, when you're calculating the shares, you put the actual unit for that share. So X equal to $36.
Sir, why the X on top this time?
All right, so the X on top is based on where the X fall in the ratio. In the previous question, the X was the second length. So it means that in terms of the ratio, the X would have been the second part of the ratio. But in this one, we say that the second amount is $21. So you're given the second part of the ratio, but the part that you don't know is the first part. So now the X that you're trying to find must be in the first part of the ratio. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So in that sense now, you would be able to calculate following the same steps. So you will get $36. All right. So that would give you the answer to that. All right. So everybody's good at this now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any question before we move on? All right. Now we're going to be looking now at what we call proportional part. Now this topic is referred to as ratio and proportion. Now, whereas we learned that the ratios would be the share, then oftentimes we are given a whole. So when we get a whole, they may ask you to share it within the ratio or within a given ratio. In that sense now, you are taking a whole and you're dividing it into portions or proportions of the ratio. And so this part we refer to as proportion. So if you have, say for instance, $1,100 and you're asked to divide it into the ratio of 7 to 3, it means that you now have to share this money in the correct portions. All right. are in the correct proportion. All right, so to do that, it now needs to take into consideration the whole and how you can break it up into parts. Now, I'm going to give you a chance to attempt to make this share, and then now I'll walk you through it. Go ahead and try it, students, see if you can share it in the correct ratio. All right, so I'm not seeing anybody raising their hand, so I'm taking it that nobody finds a way how to work the question. Ms. Wasom,
Yes, sir.
do you have a solution?
Yes, sir.
All right, walk me through that solution.
All right, sir. What I did was to add the two ratios together. So 7 plus 3 would have given you 10.
Okay.
And then to work the first part of the ratio, which would have been the 7. So I put 7 over 10 times 1,100 over 1. Then I did my canceling. So the 0 cancels 0, and then 7 times 110 would have given you 770. So for the first part of the ratio, 7, that would have been equal to 770. Then for the second one now, I have 3 over 10 times 1100 over 1. 0 cancels 0, and then 3 times 110, which gives 330. So the ratio 7 to 3 would have been equivalent to 770 to 330.
All right, Ms. Wasom, very good. So that is one of the approach that we take when we are sharing a whole based on the ratios given. All right, so let me just finish right what you have here, and then now I'll just walk through the steps. All right, so as you can see, I'm just writing down what Ms. Wasom would have just calculated, all right? All right, so the idea here is that the ratio being sharing parts would be a representative of the whole. So by adding the parts of the ratio, it means that the whole would have represented into 10 parts, 10 equal parts. Now, if you are going to share the parts based on the 1100, it means that you would now have to write each ratio as a fraction of the 10 parts. So if you write 7 over 10, which is what we have here, and times it by what we are sharing, it means that we will get that fraction of the 1100. So 7 out of 10 times 1100, meaning that you're finding 7/10 of 1100, which just gives you $770. And so the remainder then going to have 3 parts out of 10. So that's 3/10 of $1,100. And that will give you $330. Now, to really check to see if your share is correct, it means that when you add both shares, you should get back what you share. So if you add the 770 with the 330, so you get 0 plus 0, give you back 0. 7 plus 3, give you back 10, put down 0, and carry 1. So 1 plus 7 plus 3 give you 11. So the fact that you get back what you're sharing would indicate that your share was done correctly. All right, is that clear? So there are 2 different ways to approach this question. So just walking you through the steps. So the first, in both cases, we have to add the shares to give an equivalent of the whole. So it means that if you have 7 parts and you have 3 parts, then the total parts going to be 10. Now, suppose we want to say how much 1 part would be if we are dividing $1,100. So 1 part would be equal to 11 divided by 10. So if you're to share this into 10 equal parts, then 1 part out of 10 would be just $110. Now, because the share has 7 parts to 3 parts, and this is only for 1 part, it means then if you want to know how much you will get for the 7 parts, then we'd have to times this amount by 7, and that now would give you the 770. And now, to do the same now for the other parts, instead of multiplying this by 7 now, we now just multiply by 3. And so times 3, sorry, this should be 0. All right, so times 3 now, you will see that you will get the $330 for this part. And like before, when you add both shares, you should get back what you started off with. All right, so that's one approach. And the second approach would have been just as what Ms. Wason would have done. So, so this now you would have 7 parts would be equal to 7 times 11 over 10, which is actually 7 times 110, give us 720. Now, the other way would have been what Ms. Wason did, was to write the 7 as a fraction of 10 and times it by the 11. So it's really the same calculation, kind of set out slightly different. All right, because when you really look at this up here, you see 7 times 11 over 10, which is 7 times 110. Down here, you write the 7 as a fraction of 10, which gives you the same calculation. So it still remains the same. So the second calculation is what Ms. Wason did. She wrote each part as a fraction of 10 times what she's sharing. All right, so for the 3 parts, you would write 3 times 110, or you could say 3 out of 10 times 1100, which would end up giving you that same calculation. All right, so if you add both shares, then the ratio now would be in the form of 770 to 330. All right, guys. So, all right, so that would bring us to the end of this topic. And so for the remaining time, we just have about 8 minutes remaining. So I'm not going to be starting anything new for the rest of this class. So if there's anything that you'd like me to address, this is a good time to ask. If not, then I'll be ending the class. All right, is there any question, anything that you'd want me to address? All right, nobody seemed to have any question. Now, for the next graded assignment, I will be posting that sometime from now, not too far from now. I'll be posting the next graded assignment. Ms. Taylor? I am not sure of the question that you're asking, Ms. Taylor. Could you ask the question so that I can understand what you're asking? So the graded assignment students, I'm just reminding you, please, I'm expecting that you do these assignments. It's the only way that I'll be able to say what your strengths or weaknesses are. And so if you don't do them, I am not able to help you. All right. Okay. So far the topics Miss Moisha has been asking me of the topics that we have done so far. So far, we would have done the number system, we would have done directed numbers, which are integers, we would have done fractions, we would have done decimals, and we would have done percentage. Now for decimal, there's a range of things that fall under that topic, because we would have done rounding off a whole number, rounding off of decimal places, rounding off of significant figures. Then we would have done standard form, and so from there we would have done percentage, and then now we have done ratio and proportion. So those are the topics that we have done so far, Ms. Moisha. Any other question? Does that answer your question, Ms. Moisha? And so in short order, I will be posting the videos. All right. All right. You're welcome, Ms. Moisha. All right, guys, so I'm going to stop here for today, and then we'll continue when we meet next class.